Until a few months ago, I honestly thought I was about to marry the love of my life. My name's Ethan, 27M, and I'd been in a relationship for 4 years with Lily, 26F, a woman who, for the longest time, felt like my perfect match. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was comfortable, and we seemed like two people genuinely headed in the same direction. Lily and I met during a mutual friend's birthday dinner. I still remember the way she laughed that night, confident, witty, completely unfazed by strangers. It wasn't long before we started dating. I'd had girlfriends before, but none who clicked with me the way Lily did. We fell into this easy rhythm. Coffee dates that turned into late-night conversations, lazy Sundays binge-watching shows, sharing inside jokes that made sense only to us. After about a year, we moved in together. It felt natural, like the obvious next step. I'm a project manager for a tech firm, while Lily worked as a freelance graphic designer, so our schedules lined up nicely. We had similar views about our future: marriage, a modest home, kids someday, but only when we felt ready. Money wasn't pouring in, but we managed just fine. We'd save up for small weekend getaways, or splurge on dinner at our favorite Mexican place. It was the kind of relationship that, from the outside, looked solid and steady. And, for a while, it truly was. About a year ago, I proposed to Lily. Nothing flashy, no viral video, no public spectacle. Just the two of us at home, eating takeout, sitting in our sweats. I pulled out the ring, and for a moment, Lily was completely speechless. Then she started crying happy tears, hugged me so tightly it felt like she'd never let go, and said yes. That night, we sat up late talking about our wedding. Lily was brimming with ideas. She wanted an intimate fall ceremony by a lake, a short guest list, rustic decor, and live acoustic music. She started sending me Pinterest boards and excited messages about bridal gowns, flower arrangements, cake flavors. It seemed like we were equally invested in building our future. At that point, I was certain I'd found my person. She seemed so sure of me, of us. I wasn't just excited to marry Lily. I was excited to keep sharing life's ordinary moments with her. Quiet breakfasts, road trips, even the mundane stuff like grocery shopping. If you'd told me then that our engagement would fall apart, I would have laughed it off as impossible. But the thing is, sometimes cracks start out hairline thin. You don't notice them at first, or you explain them away because you love the person so much you'd rather not see the truth. Looking back, I wish I'd seen the warning signs earlier. But at the time, Lily was my world, and I believed we were heading for the kind of life people dream about. Two best friends, partners, future spouses. I just had no idea how quickly everything was about to unravel. If I'm honest with myself, the first signs that Lily's heart wasn't fully in it appeared sooner than I wanted to admit. They started small, so small I brushed them off as stress, or just normal relationship bumps. But looking back, those little things were warning flares I chose to ignore. At first, Lily was all in on wedding planning. She'd send me photos of venues, dresses, flower arrangements. She'd bounce into the room with her laptop to show me color palettes and centerpiece ideas. She kept talking about wanting a rustic vibe by the lake, with warm fall colors and twinkle lights everywhere. Then, almost overnight, her enthusiasm vanished. I'd ask things like, "Hey, have you decided who your bridesmaids will be?" And she'd shrug, saying, "Not yet. I'm still thinking." Same with the dress, or the cake flavors, or the music. Everything that once made her eyes light up suddenly felt like a chore she'd rather avoid. I tried not to panic. I reminded myself wedding planning can be overwhelming. Maybe she was just busy with work. Freelance design can be unpredictable. Some weeks you're slammed with clients, other weeks you're chasing invoices. I kept telling myself it was normal for her to take a breather, but deep down, something felt off. Then there was that night out with friends that I wish I could erase from my memory. We were at a bar, everyone laughing, playing one of those stupid TikTok games where people answer personal questions. Someone asked, "If you could go back and relive one past relationship, which one would it be?" Without hesitating, Lily blurted out, "Probably Ryan." Ryan. her ex from college, the guy who cheated on her multiple times. The table went silent. Lily let out this awkward laugh, trying to backpedal. I mean, not that I'd want to. It was just a big part of my past. I wanted to question her right there, but we were surrounded by friends, so I let it go, for the moment. But when we got home, I couldn't keep it in. I asked her, "What was that about? Why would you choose Ryan of all people?" She waved it off. "It was a dumb game, Ethan. Don't take it so seriously." And she changed the subject like it was nothing. I tried to convince myself it was just a slip. But after that night, Lily started acting more distant. She was on her phone constantly, texting with this small smile on her face. Sometimes she'd tilt the screen away from me if I walked by. Plans we made together started falling through. We'd be supposed to go out for dinner or catch a movie, and she'd cancel at the last minute. "Sorry, I'm buried in work," or "I promised my mom I'd help her with something this weekend." Individually, none of these things screamed something's wrong. But together, they started to feel like bricks stacking up on my chest. One Friday, I came home earlier than usual. I was looking forward to surprising Lily with takeout and a chill night on the couch. But when I walked in, she was sitting there on the sofa, staring at her laptop like she'd seen a ghost. "Hey, I'm home," I said softly. She barely looked up. "You're early," she replied, like it was somehow an inconvenience. Usually, she'd jump up, give me a hug, ask me how my day was. But that night, the apartment felt ice cold, like there was an invisible wall between us. It was in that quiet, heavy air that I realized how far we'd drifted. And I started to wonder if Lily was drifting towards someone else entirely. Even then, I never expected what she was about to drop on me. I don't think there's any way to prepare for the moment your fiancé looks you in the eyes and basically asks for permission to date her ex. But that's exactly what happened to me. That Friday night, I was standing in the kitchen, trying to pretend nothing was wrong. I'd started unpacking the takeout I'd brought home, hoping maybe some pad thai and spring rolls could bring us back to normal. But the silence was crushing. Lily didn't ask how work was. She didn't come over to help me set the table. She just sat on the couch, staring at her laptop, like she was somewhere else entirely. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I turned to her and said, "Is everything okay?" She shut the laptop slowly, then looked up at me with these guarded eyes. "Actually, there's something I need to talk to you about." My stomach dropped. It was like I'd suddenly been pitched off a cliff. I put the takeout container down, wiped my hands on a towel, and sat on the armrest across from her. "All right," I said carefully. "What's going on?" She sucked in a shaky breath. "I've been thinking a lot about us, and about Ryan." I blinked at her. "Ryan? Are you serious? What about him?" She bit her lip, avoiding my gaze. I think I need some time to figure things out. I want to take a break and see if there's still something there with him." It felt like the floor vanished beneath me. For a few seconds, I actually thought she was joking. But the way she was twisting her fingers, the way she couldn't meet my eyes, I knew she meant it. "You want a break?" I repeated slowly. "So you can go date your ex?" "It's not like that," she blurted out. "I'm not trying to hurt you. I need to know if I'm making the right choice with you. And if it doesn't work out with him, I promise I'll come back." The sheer audacity of it left me speechless. She was basically telling me she wanted to test drive another guy and expected me to be waiting when she returned. I finally found my voice. "Wait, so you get to go figure out if Ryan's the one, and I'm just supposed to sit here on hold? That's your plan?" She let out a frustrated sigh, as if I was being unreasonable. "It's not about you doing anything wrong, Ethan. It's about me figuring out what I need." I stared at her, stunned. The woman I'd planned to marry was now talking about shopping around for better options like we were comparing phone plans. "You know, this sounds insane, right?" I said, my voice trembling with disbelief. "You don't just hit pause on your fiancé so you can check if your ex is a better choice. That's not how this works." Her jaw tightened. For the first time, I saw a steely edge in Lily that I'd never noticed before. "I'm not asking your permission, Ethan. I'm telling you what I need." And just like that, the heartbreak gave way to something else. anger. I stood up, pacing across the living room. "So what, Lily? You're going to pack a bag and head over to Ryan's place? That's your big plan?" "No," she protested quickly. "It's not like that. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I owe it to myself to be sure." I laughed, bitter and hollow. "And what about what you owe me? We're engaged, Lily. We're supposed to be building a life together. Now you're telling me you want to test whether I'm good enough?" She flinched. "I never said you weren't good enough, but if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I have to be certain, and right now, I'm not." That was it. The moment everything shifted. I realized she wasn't just curious about Ryan. She was uncertain about me. A cold calmness settled over me as I stared at her. The woman I thought I knew was gone, replaced by someone I no longer recognized. And I knew right then, if Lily wanted a break, she was going to get one. But it wouldn't go the way she expected. When Lily left that night, dragging her suitcase out the door, I sat on the couch in stunned silence. I kept replaying her words over and over in my head. "I just need to see if there's still something there with Ryan." I couldn't believe that was real life. But as the hours passed, the shock faded, and something else took its place. Clarity. I wasn't going to sit around waiting like some loyal pet, hoping Lily would decide I was good enough after sampling her ex. No. If she wanted space, she was going to get it, in ways she hadn't anticipated. The very next day, I called my best friend, Alex. We'd known each other since freshman year of college, and he's the kind of guy who tells you the blunt truth even when you don't want to hear it. He came over with a couple of pizzas and 2 six-packs, and we sat on my living room floor hashing things out until almost 3 in the morning. "Dude," Alex said between bites of pepperoni, "she's gonna come crawling back the second Ryan disappoints her. Are you ready for that?" He was right. The more we talked, the more I realized I had to take control of the narrative and of my life. First on my list, the house. Lily always liked to talk about our house. The throw pillows she'd picked out, the curtains she'd chosen, the paint colors she'd agonized over. But the reality was the house was entirely in my name. I paid the mortgage. I'd been the one to buy it. So, on Monday morning, I called a real estate agent. She came by that afternoon, did a walkthrough, and by the end of the week, we'd listed it. Turns out the housing market in my neighborhood was scorching hot. In just a few days, we already had multiple interested buyers. Lily had no clue. I could only imagine her picturing me waiting dutifully in that house for her to figure things out. She had no idea I was preparing to leave it behind entirely. Next came the more personal details. Lily had left a bunch of her belongings at the house. Clothes in the closet, stacks of graphic design materials, scented candles, and those cheesy live, laugh, love plaques she'd insisted on hanging everywhere. I began going through it all methodically. The plaques? Gone. The fancy throw pillows? Donated. Her clothes and personal stuff? I carefully packed them into boxes, labeled everything, and called a moving company. Instead of dropping her things off at her mom's house myself, or making Lily come collect them, I had the movers deliver every last box straight to her parents' doorstep. I even wrote a short note. "Here's your stuff. Good luck figuring things out with Ryan." Some might call that petty. Personally, I call it efficient. She wanted space. She had it, physically and emotionally. Then there was the matter of our mutual friends. People started asking questions almost immediately. I refused to lie or play the victim. I just told the simple truth. Lily decided she wants to see if there's still something between her and Ryan. I'm not interested in being anybody's backup plan. I discovered something fascinating. When you keep your story honest and drama-free, people respect it. Instead of getting pulled into gossip or choosing sides, most friends quietly took mine. A few even admitted they'd noticed Lily's distance lately, but didn't know how to bring it up. Alex and I also started talking about bigger changes. I'd always toyed with the idea of moving west, to start fresh, to chase new career opportunities. Suddenly, it didn't feel so impossible. Lily wanted to find herself? Fine. So would I. piece by piece, I started dismantling the life I'd built with her. Not out of spite, but because I finally realized I deserved more than waiting around for someone who wasn't sure if I was what she wanted. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. By the time Lily moved her things out, I'd stopped feeling sad. The heartbreak had morphed into a kind of cold determination. I wasn't sure where my life was headed next, but I knew it wasn't backward. Meanwhile, Lily's grand plan to see if there was still something there with Ryan? It didn't take long for that fantasy to crash and burn. Word started trickling back to me through mutual friends. Apparently, the first couple of weeks with Ryan were a honeymoon phase. Lily was posting vague, artsy Instagram stories about new beginnings and trusting the journey. Friends told me she was glowing, smiling, acting like she'd found the answer to all her questions, but it didn't last. Ryan, it turned out, was the same guy he'd been in college. The one who cheated on her, lied constantly, and treated relationships like interchangeable parts. One of our mutual friends, Nicole, ran into Lily and Ryan at a bar downtown. Later, Nicole messaged me. "Ethan, they were arguing in public. He was flirting with the bartender right in front of her." It was like déjà vu for Lily, and everyone could see it. Ryan hadn't magically become boyfriend material just because 4 years had passed. But what really blew things up was a single photo Ryan posted online, a selfie of the two of them out to dinner. And not just any dinner. He'd taken Lily to the same restaurant where she and I had our first date. It was like Lily was trying to recreate our entire relationship with someone else. A sad, hollow rerun. The photo didn't stay up for long. Ryan deleted it within hours. But the damage was done. Friends started messaging me, stunned. A few who'd been neutral suddenly reached out to say, "Man, I'm so sorry. You deserve better than this." Even people who'd initially wanted to stay out of it realized Lily's finding herself narrative was pure fiction. But Lily's problems didn't stop at her personal life. Professionally, things began to unravel too. Lily's entire freelance business depended on networking and word-of-mouth referrals. She worked with a lot of tech clients, people I knew through my own career. One of those contacts, Samantha 29F, invited me for coffee and came right out with it. "I need to know what's really going on. Lily told us you two are just taking a temporary break to grow as individuals, but something feels off." So, I told Samantha the truth, calmly and without bitterness. Lily asked for a break to explore getting back together with her ex. I'm not waiting around to see how that turns out. Samantha's eyes widened. By the end of the week, I heard that several of Lily's biggest prospective clients had paused or outright canceled projects with her. Not because I'd badmouthed her, but because nobody wants to trust important work to someone who can't commit, even in their personal life. Lily noticed the fallout fast. She started texting me more and more. At first, her messages were light. "Hope you're doing okay." Then they turned confused. "Why are you acting like this is over?" And finally, frantic. "You're ruining my reputation. This isn't fair." I just needed time to think. But my answer never changed. You got what you wanted. Time and space. How I spend mine is none of your concern. It was incredible how quickly the tables turned. Lily had been so sure she could have it all, testing out Ryan, then waltzing back to me if things didn't work out. But life doesn't work like that. In the middle of all this, even Lily's sister reached out to me privately. "I'm so sorry for how my sister's handling this. You deserve someone who's all in." For the first time, I felt nothing but relief. Lily's choices had been painful, but they'd also freed me from a future built on lies. Meanwhile, Lily was left facing a hard truth. Sometimes the grass looks greener because it's artificial turf. As Lily's world started to crumble, mine was quietly falling into place. I'd always dreamed of moving west, to a city where the tech industry thrived, where the sun shone most of the year, and where nobody knew me as half of Ethan and Lily. Suddenly, it felt like the perfect time to make that dream real. So I applied for a position at my company's office in San Francisco. It was a long shot, but I had solid experience, and with everything happening, I figured I had nothing left to lose. A few weeks later, I got the call. "Congratulations, Ethan. We'd love to bring you on board out west." I accepted on the spot. The timing couldn't have been better. The house went under contract quickly, above asking price, and I set the closing date for just a few weeks out. Everything I'd once built with Lily was winding down, making space for something new. While Lily posted cryptic quotes on social media about personal growth and trusting your heart, I decided to keep things simple and factual. I put up a single, straightforward post. "Excited to share I've accepted a new position in San Francisco. Sometimes when one door closes, better ones open." Almost instantly, my inbox and comments blew up. Friends congratulated me. Colleagues offered connections, and a few people, curious and cautious, asked gently, "So, what's happening with Lily?" I stuck to one consistent answer. "We're no longer together. She wanted to explore other options, so I'm exploring mine too." That was it. No trash talk, no drama. And you know what? It changed everything. People who'd been unsure or silent started reaching out with support. Even friends who'd stayed neutral admitted they respected how calmly I was handling things. Meanwhile, Lily's carefully crafted narrative began collapsing. She'd been trying to spin the story that we were taking time apart to grow individually. But when mutual friends saw her out with Ryan, and then saw Ryan hitting on other women, it didn't hold water anymore. The final straw came when Ryan posted that infamous photo of himself and Lily at the restaurant where she and I had our first date. Even the last few people in Lily's corner were stunned. A friend messaged me, "Dude, she's trying to relive your whole relationship with Ryan. That's messed up." Even Lily's sister, who'd kept quiet until then, called me. Her voice was soft and a little embarrassed. "I'm really sorry, Ethan. My sister thought you'd wait for her. She never imagined you'd sell the house and move. She's kinda freaking out." By then, Lily's texts had shifted from confusion to desperation. "Why are you telling people about Ryan? You're ruining my reputation. This isn't what I meant when I said I needed time. Please stop acting like this is over." But the truth was, it was over. I finally replied, "You made your choice, Lily. Now I'm making mine." The most liberating part was realizing I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to shout my side of the story from the rooftops. All I had to do was live my life honestly and let Lily reveal her own character through her actions. Every day, as I packed boxes, listed furniture for sale, and organized my move, I felt lighter. I was cutting ties to a relationship that had quietly drained me for far too long. By the time the moving truck arrived, I was no longer the man who'd sat frozen in my kitchen while my fiancée told me she wanted to date her ex. I was someone ready to start over. And Lily? She was beginning to realize that the break she'd asked for was turning out to be a permanent one. When I finally pulled into San Francisco, the sun was setting over the bay, turning the water gold and pink. It felt symbolic, as though my old life was closing out in brilliant color, making way for something entirely new. My new apartment has floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. Every morning I drink coffee while watching ships glide past the skyline, and I still can't quite believe this is my life now. Work has been incredible. My new team out here is smart, driven, and refreshingly free of drama. Instead of spending my mental energy wondering whether my fiancée was texting her ex, I'm diving into projects I'm passionate about. A few weeks after I arrived, my boss asked if I'd speak at a local tech conference, a chance that never would have come if I'd stayed back home. I've also thrown myself into new hobbies. I joined a rock climbing club, started learning Spanish, and adopted a rescue dog named Zeus, a big golden retriever who's already become my best friend. He's goofy, loyal, and never plays mind games. A significant upgrade from my last partner, if I'm being honest. Meanwhile, Lily's world seems to be unraveling piece by piece. The house closed smoothly, and it actually sold for more than my asking price. I heard through friends that Lily didn't believe I'd really gone through with it until she drove by one day and saw new people moving in. Then came the twist I hadn't expected. Out of nowhere, Ryan reached out to me. He sent me a long message apologizing for causing trouble and confessed that Lily had been messaging him months before she asked me for a break. She'd been laying the groundwork for her little exploration long before she ever said a word to me. The irony is, Ryan ended up dumping her himself. As he put it, if she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone. It's hard to argue with that logic. Professionally, Lily's reputation has taken a hit. Many of her old clients found new designers, partly because word gets around quickly in the creative industry. One of her biggest clients actually reached out to me asking if I could recommend anyone reliable. I referred them to a talented friend who landed the contract. Funny how life works sometimes. Lily has been bouncing between social media moods, posting sorrowful quotes about losing your soulmate, followed by angry rants about toxic people who can't handle personal growth, and then sudden announcements about starting her own design firm. But every time she tries to show the world she's thriving, reality seems to trip her up. Her sister called me recently, sounding tired. She's been staying with our parents. She really thought you'd wait for her, Ethan. Selling the house and moving out here, it broke the fantasy she was clinging to. Perhaps the funniest part was learning Lily's freelance website went down because she forgot I'd been the one managing her hosting and domain renewals. Friends told me she was spotted in a coffee shop, trying desperately to explain to a potential client why her online portfolio had vanished. But honestly, that's not my problem anymore. Lily emailed me one last time, writing, "I know you're trying to erase me from your life, but you can't just delete our memories. Those 4 years meant something." My reply was simple. "You're right. Those years taught me exactly what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson." A few mutual acquaintances have told me I'm being harsh, that maybe Lily was just confused and deserves another chance. But here's what I know now. This wasn't some fleeting moment of weakness on her part. It was a series of calculated choices. Every secret message she sent Ryan, every lie she told me, every moment she kept me on hold while she went chasing something better. The truth is, the worst thing that ever happened to me ended up becoming the best. Because if Lily hadn't shown me who she truly was, I might have married her, only to discover the truth years later, maybe with kids caught in the fallout. Instead, I'm standing here in a city I love, surrounded by opportunities, with a future wide open in front of me. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting better, and that's exactly what I'm doing.